Hello guys and welcome back to another FPL video. My name is FPL Meerkat and today I've got my Game Week 25 review and my Game Week 26 team selection for you guys. It's going to be quite a long video, this one. We've got a lot of information about all the upcoming blanks and doubles. Some things are still up in the air, but a lot of things are now concrete information. So I'm going to be going over my chip strategy for basically the remainder of the season, pretty much what the plan is in this video. So I'm going to put timestamps down below if you want to skip to different parts. I don't have a wild card as well, so I'm hoping this video can be a bit different for you guys who are seeing a lot of people wildcarding this week. If you don't have a wild card, don't worry, I've got you covered. I'm going to be, well, I don't have a wild card either, so I'm just hoping that it's all going to be fine. I'll go through my strategy and let's have a look how I did in Game Week 25. So here is the Game Week 25 team, and it was a relatively alright week. A small red arrow there, as you can see. I was just under 600k and now I'm just over about 630k there. 89 points with an 8-point hit, leaving me with 81 points overall. Above average, but slightly below my safety score of about 84, I think it was. It was an alright game week, to be honest. It started off absolutely horrendously. I was on, I think, about 30 points before the final two games on Wednesday. It was going absolutely terribly. Obviously, we had the news of Darwin not being in the lineup, and Nketiah was benched twice. That was pretty appalling. Tarkowski was a terrible move. I'm honestly, I don't know why I did that. Oh wait, no, I know why I did that. It was to make up the funds to get Trent in, and to be honest, the Trent hit definitely paid off, getting Trent in. So Trent and Tarkowski did outscore Trippier and Shaw as they both blanked. So it was slightly worth it. But yeah, I wish I'd just picked a different defender over Tarkowski, honestly. But at least he's cheap, and it allowed me to, spread the funds elsewhere. And Bueno as well, getting a 3-pointer was a little bit disappointing. He would have only got 1 point anyway if he didn't go off injured. The injury is what I'm mostly concerned about there. And Ake getting 6 points, an all-right return. Haaland getting his usual 10. Inevitable, isn't he? Still in a single game week, he puts up a double-figure return. Absolutely incredible, but he wasn't enough to outscore the likes of Salah, Saka, and Ødegaard there. Really happy that I had all three of those. Martinelli as well. Hats off to any of you Martinelli owners. 26 points he got. I think that's the highest score this season, and I think only Salah in his double game week last season has beaten that. So, from what I can remember as well, from recent memory. So, yeah, an absolutely insane score for you Martinelli owners. And Zinchenko going massive as well. The Arsenal defence in total going massive. I think both Liverpool and Arsenal kept a clean sheet in that. So, yeah, if you doubled up on either of the defences, really well done to you. But massive scores all around from a lot of the doublers, but it wasn't enough to save me from a red arrow. It was a massive red arrow before Wednesday's games. I was down to about 800k before Wednesday's games, and the Salah goal right at the end really saved me. Saka did outscore him by 4 points. It's annoying because if I'd captained Saka over Salah, I would have been pretty much level. I wouldn't have had any red arrow or green arrow. I would have been pretty much on the same points, as 4 points is pretty much what I needed to save myself from having a red arrow. So yeah, it was an alright game week. I'm pretty happy with that. I pretty much stayed my ground, and I can look to get green arrows in the future game weeks. So let's have a look at how the team's lining up for game week 26. So this is how the team is looking for 26, and I've already made my free transfer. I have done Pope to Raya. Now, Pope was a terrible transfer to get in, honestly. I wasn't expecting him to be that bad, especially with fixtures against the likes of Bournemouth. I really hoped that he'd get at least a clean sheet for me, but that just wasn't the case, and then he got a red card. So I've already made the move to Raya, who I'm very happy to have back in my team. He was absolutely brilliant for me at the start of the season, and I think he'll be my goalkeeper for the rest of the season now. He's got 2 doubles coming up, of course, in 27 and in 29. The likes of Brighton and Brentford are certainly hot assets at the moment, with 2 doubles coming up in the next 4 game weeks. So yeah, I thought I'd just make the move early and get Raya in. Now, the other transfer that I may be doing this week is, hopefully we'll be getting early City news, as it is the first kickoff. If we get any indication that Ake is not starting, I'll be moving Ake to Estupinan to get another one of the doublers in my team. And yeah, I'm okay with how the team is looking. Honestly, I'm a little bit excited because Liverpool have looked okay. They've been so inconsistent. They could be absolutely amazing one week and absolutely terrible the next week. They've been all over the place. So now the fact they are all differentials, and I'm probably going to be hanging on to all three of my Liverpool assets, as a Liverpool fan, it's quite nice to have them as differentials and to have a little bit of confidence in them. I'm actually really happy at the fact that most people are going to be wildcarding them out, and they have Bournemouth the following week, which I think, despite the fact it's a double game week, I think it's going to be huge for having Liverpool assets against Bournemouth. At least I hope so. The reverse fixture was 9-0, wasn't it? So I know it's away to Bournemouth. It'll be obviously a lot tougher, but yeah, I'm holding hope for Trent, Salah and Darwin. And coming up for this Man United game as well, I really hope they get returns in that. I'm going to be starting Rashford as well. The good thing is, at least this week, the bench picks itself. I have 3 injuries there. And Nketiah, I think that's given an indication as to why he's been on the bench. He's had a knock for quite a while now. Darwin was back to full fitness, which is good, so he'll be in the starting lineup. Straug, I'm actually a little bit concerned about. If anyone's got any news about him, please let me know, because just from against an FPL standpoint, he got a concussion and he's been out for, I think, 3 weeks now. Now, if I'm not mistaken, concussions, a mild concussion can normally keep you out for maybe a few days, a week or so. The fact he's been out for 3 weeks is actually quite worrying. I hope he's genuinely okay. But yeah, I would like him in my FPL team as well. But yeah, I hope he gets a speedy recovery there. And Bueno seems like he's sustained a hamstring injury, so he's going to be routed to the bench as well. So at least I have no more benching headache, but it also means I have 0 cover if anyone is benched, which is why if Ake is announced to be on the bench for the Man City game, I'll be transferring him. But yeah, I'm liking the look of the team. At least Tarkowski's got a nice fixture against Nottingham Forest there. And yes, the captaincy will be on Haaland. I know Saka has a really nice fixture. I mean, I'm not 100% confident on Haaland with the captaincy. I'm about 70% at the moment. Saka would be the alternative, just because his ownership is also really high right now. I think, looking at the captaincy polls I've seen around, it's about a 50-50 split on the 2 of them. I think either of them are really good shouts this week. Also Ødegaard. And if you've got Martinelli as well, he could also be an incredibly good pick. But yeah, Saka and Ødegaard are the 2 absolutely nailed attackers in that Arsenal front 4. And then Trossard, Martinelli and Nketiah make up the other 2 spots. But with Nketiah's potential injury, I think Trossard and Martinelli are going to start this Bournemouth game. So I would have faith. If you think Martinelli can keep producing, I mean, he scored 3 goals in the double game week. If he can keep scoring against this Bournemouth team at home, then absolutely go for it. I think any of the Arsenal assets are good shouts, but Haaland is Haaland. He can do absolutely anything. And Newcastle, they've looked all right defensively, but they've looked a bit off it as of recent. So yeah, that's why the captaincy is on Haaland at the moment, and obviously his home form is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, it'll be a close call between Haaland and Saka, but I'm just about leaning to Haaland at the moment. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of that team. And I'm now going to be showing you a bit of a discussion into what my chip strategy is. So I'm just going to talk about what my chip strategy is, and hopefully that will help you guys out if you're in a similar position to me, where you've got a bench boost, but you don't have a wild card, you've got a free hit and you're not quite sure when to use it. I'm just going to let you know what I'm planning on doing. So this is it. All the upcoming game weeks, apart from game week 35 and onwards, because I think I'm pretty much set with the team from that point on, and it's quite a long way in the future. So these are the main game weeks that I'm concerned with. So let's go through it all one by one. Game week 26 there. If Ake is benched, I'm going to do Ake to Estupinan. If not, I'm going to be set with the team that I've already got right now. In game week 27, the plan is to do Tarkowski and Ødegaard to Estupinan and March. So I'll be bringing in 3 Brighton players, and I'll have the 1 Brentford player as well. Give me 4 doublers in that week for a -4. Now, that means in 28, I will have an incredibly low amount of players, so I'm going to be using the free hit in 28. I've been tinkering around with the free hit, and now that Spurs have been added to the mix, I think I can actually make quite a nice team, adding Kane, potentially Son into the mix too. I can actually make an all right team. Otherwise, if it wasn't for... Sorry, the sun is absolutely blaring through the window right now. If it wasn't for Spurs being added there, I would probably devise a strategy to get around it. But basically, I'm going to be making my team as good as possible for 27, 29, and 34. So all of the doubles. And then I'm going to use the free hit to get out of the blank week in 28. And then I'll have an all right team for the potential blanks in 32. Sorry if you're not really caught up on the upcoming doubles and blanks. I'm not really going to be able to explain it all in this video. There's plenty of great videos out there that explain all the potential blanks and stuff. But basically, if a team gets far in the FA Cup, it means they blank and then they double. That's pretty much how it goes most seasons as well. So yeah, 29, I'd be able to roll the free transfer. I think I'd have 9 doublers in that week, and then I'd also have Saka and Haaland as well. 30, I'd do Nketiah to Mitrovic or Wilson. Now, this is depending on who gets a double. If Newcastle double in game week 31 along with Brighton, which I think is projected at the moment, I'll go for Wilson. And then if not, if Fulham get their double in 34, I'll go for Mitrovic. I'll be basically banking on which one is going to double. And then in 31, the plan would be to do Bueno to Soufal. I think he's been getting his minutes up in the West Ham team. But again, at this point, so many game weeks in the future, Soufal might have lost his position. He would massively benefit me because he's really cheap. So he'd be a very good enabler and potentially has a double in 34. If not, and if Newcastle have their double, I'd go Ake to Trippier, and then I'd have 5 doublers in that Brighton-Newcastle game, which would be really nice. Now, game week 32 would be another blank game week. I think at this point, I would have either 8 or 9 players in that fixture. And then what I would do for 1 week is transfer out Haaland to any of the forwards that are available. I think there's some really nice fixtures in that week, so... yeah, I could go for literally any of the forwards. In 33, I would then do that forward and Struijk to Haaland and Shaw. I've rolled a transfer this entire time so that I could do both those moves for free. I'd then be getting in Shaw because he'd blank in 32 and then he'd be doubling a 34. And then the massive game week 34, which I would be bench boosting in, which I really like the sound of because... most people are going to be bench boosting, I think, in 29. Now, it is a much, much bigger double. However, there isn't really many massively standout options. Most of the best teams aren't doubling. They've only got a single game week, and a lot of the double game weeks have one hard fixture, one easy fixture, and then the teams with 2 good fixtures, so I should say easy fixtures, good fixtures, aren't the teams you really want to be targeting anyway. So I much prefer the look of a 34 bench boost. Obviously, a lot of people will be using their free hit in the 34 as well to get 11 really solid players out, but I think I can get a pretty fantastic looking bench boost for game week 34. If I go from Saka and Ward, I'd go to Foden. That can be any Man City midfielder at that point, whoever I think is going to play both in that double, and De Gea for a -4. This would also be... it would hopefully, if Brighton, Man City and Man United get through in the Cup, I think all it needs is Man City and Man United to get through in the FA Cup, and they've got relatively comfortable draws in that, so I think they will both progress. So yeah, that's basically the plan, to free hit my way out of 28 to avoid the blanks, and then bench boost in 34, because that's the only 2 chips I have at this point. The drawbacks are not having a wild card. So just moving on to the next bit, basically a user transfer for game week 27 double, 4 doublers in 27. I completely forgot as well, Southampton and Crystal Palace are doubling in that game week. I completely forgot about that. I just didn't like the look of either of their fixtures, and they don't then have a double in 29. So I haven't even looked at their players, to be honest. But they could massively return. Maybe you free hit in 27 and really, you go for a Ward-Prowse, you go for, is Zaha even fit? I don't know who you go for in Crystal Palace at the moment, but yeah, you could take a punt on Elise. I think he could be maybe a good punt. But so 28, basically, the reason I'm getting in Brighton players rather than Brentford, because you might be thinking, hang on a minute, Brentford have 5 upcoming fixtures. They have a double in 27, and then they have a double in 29, and then they have a game in 28. So surely I could just get in Brentford players rather than Brighton, and then avoid using the free hit. I much prefer the look of Brighton's doubles. Much, much prefer. So I'd be tripling up in 27 and 29, and then any of the future game weeks. I think if they get through in the FA Cup, I think they're going to have 5 doubles. I could be wrong about that, but 4 or 5 doubles. So I think just having the triple Brighton is just absolutely insane value. And then in the next blank, that's my phone going off. In the next blank, I would just bench them. So yeah, I just really, really like the look of it on paper. Their double is a lot better, I think, in 29. I'm not a massive fan of Brentford's double in 29. So yeah, I would be basically dead ending my team in 28. I'd have 5 players, so I absolutely need to have the free hit. I'd still have Saka and Ødegaard, but I think those 5 players, they would include an injured Bueno, an injured Strauch, and an injured Nketiah. So yeah, I basically have 2 players. So I absolutely have to free hit in that week. The 9 doublers, of course, in 29. In 30, I would then make a transfer for either the 31 or 34 double. Newcastle could potentially double in 31. That means I'd have 3 to 5 doublers, depending on if I went for the Newcastle transfers or not. I'd still have my 3 Brighton assets. In 32, I'd have 8 to 9 players. I'd use a transfer to make it 9 or 10. I could even use 2 to make it a full 11. But the issue is with that I've basically structured and organised these transfers because most of the teams who are blanking in 32 would then double in 34 because of the FA Cup. So I basically put as many of the teams who double in 34 but have a fixture in 32 in as possible, the likes of Liverpool, that would be, into the team, and Fulham as well, potentially, and West Ham. As many of them into the team so I can field a team and then not use hits to bring in players for that blank week, and then the next 2 weeks bring in those Man United and Man City players to then bench boost. That would basically be the plan. So 33, Haaland goes back in, and then in 34, hopefully as the... by the way, massive shout out to FPL Team in this. I'll leave a link to it in the description. I would not be able to do all of this if it wasn't for FPL Team and FPL Planet's predicted fixture system. So it actually predicts what's going to happen based on the favourable FA Cup results. So yeah, I would have 14 doublers if I then took a hit. And then Raya with Nottingham Forest at home. I would have triple Brighton, triple City, Man City, triple Man United, triple Liverpool, and then I would have Mitrovic and Soufal for a insane looking bench boost, which we'll get onto what that looks like in a minute. But yeah, that's basically all my plans. I'm now just going to go through all of the major talking points in the weeks and just show you what they would look like on paper. So I've given you the Game Week 26 team. So this is how the team would look for double Game Week 27. So I've written there 4 out of a possible 6 doublers. That's completely incorrect. It's 4 out of 12 because I forgot about Southampton and Palace were even doubling. But 4 of the possible 6 of the ones I'm prioritizing. I thought I muted my phone. It's just gone off again. I think Brighton have the better double in 27 and 29. Leeds away and then Crystal Palace in 27. And then Brentford at home and Bournemouth away, I think, is a much better set of fixtures. I think Brentford have Man United in that 29 double. So yeah, I'd much rather triple up on the Brighton assets there. I want to cover both of the defences, so I'd have a Brentford and a Brighton defender there. Obviously, Raya in goal, just in case they rack up 2 clean sheets. I'd love to get a Stupinan in, bearing on the obviously the injury news that we get. I'd love to pick him as I think he's pretty much Brighton's only left back option at the moment. So he's not incredibly nailed. Dunk would be the most nailed option. They're both the same price. But his attacking threat down the wing has been absolutely incredible. He's been getting so many points recently. So yeah, be a Stupinan. If he's injured, Dunk. And then March could easily be McAllister as well. I already own Matoma. I do believe Matoma is the best pick, even though his stats have been on the low recently. Watching the games, like not going off the stats, watching the games, he is the better player. He has much more potential to dribble around opponents, get a shot off, and also assist as well. March is a much better at positioning himself. So Mitoma assisting March could happen, but yeah, he doesn't have as good of a finish, I think, as Mitoma. But yeah, he does pick up better positions, which is why his stats and his shooting has been a lot better as of recent. The obvious drawback for this team would be I wouldn't have Ivan Toney, who I do believe is the best captaincy option for this week. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainties around Toney at the moment, his 8 yellow cards and his potential betting scandal that might see him get banned. But apparently there's going to be a hearing in April, so before the hearings even happened, he can't be sentenced or banned or anything like that. So yeah, that won't be happening for a while. And then the captaincy is a bit tricky. I could captain Rashford for that really nice home victory against Southampton. Salah against Bournemouth is also really nice. Or Mitoma, I think it would be over March for the double game week. Yeah, I'd have a real dilemma on captaincy there. But I think it's much better to have a nice dilemma over captaincy when you know a lot of your players are going to return than being worried about not owning a really good captaincy option. So yeah, that's how 27 would look. Double game week 29, so I'd free hit in 28. I wouldn't have any transfer rolled over. I would basically have 9 out of a possible 11 doublers. The reason I'd take out Ødegaard, by the way, a week early is to essentially focus on those doubles. I found myself debating between Nketiah and Ødegaard for the bench spot. Nketiah, despite the really nice fixtures, I've got 8 really nice attackers at the moment, and I think Nketiah every time is just the weakest one, so he would pretty much be fixed to the bench. And I should also mention, don't worry about where the bench order or where the captaincy is in any of these screenshots. This was just to kind of demonstrate the transfers and my thoughts around that. So yeah, the bench would not be strong enough for a bench boost at all. I would not want to bench boost this bench. Ake, Liverpool at home, don't expect any points there. Nketiah might not even start. Bueno against Nottingham Forest potentially, but he might still be injured at that point. And Ward with a double game week's nice, but yeah, not a strong enough bench to bench boost. I'd be hoping that Strauch is fit for the double game week. That's kind of why I want him to be okay. I'd have him in the double game week for this one, which would be really useful for my team. I don't have to use a transfer this week. If I did have to make a transfer, it would be to move Strauch on to someone else who doubles. I'd have a triple up on Liverpool's really tough double, away to City, away to Chelsea. I'm hoping they can prove themselves in those games. Again, we remember the game against Chelsea. It was absolutely... It was the most boring game of football I've ever watched. And then the Man City one was one of the most exciting, despite it only being 1-0. So yeah, it would still be exciting to own all 3 of those players. Again, Darwin might become a bit of a minutes risk, which could be a bit of a worry. But yeah, he's just such an explosive asset. I'd really like to own him. And as a Liverpool fan, I feel like it's right. And I wouldn't have any Leicester, Chelsea or Newcastle for any of their doubles, which is a little bit risky. I know people who free hit or have wildcarded to set up their teams would have a much nicer pick of the doubles in 29. So this is the only real downside to this strategy, I think, is that this double game week in 29 on paper looks a bit worse, quite a bit worse, but it could still score really well. I think Rashford will probably be the captain in this game week, looking at the doubles there. But yeah, so this will be a little bit of a weaker side of it. Moving on to blank game week 32. So basically, fast forwarding on to quite a few game weeks in the future, this would essentially be how the team would line up with 9 players. I'd move Haaland to probably Kane. I know that Arsenal have got a really nice fixture again at home to Southampton, so I could go to Jesus if he is back fit by that point. But yeah, Kane is there because he's probably, he's the most expensive forward. I'd have a really nice triple up on the Liverpool for their home fixture against Nottingham Forest, which would be really, really nice. I just bench all 3 of the Brighton assets, and then I have Ake and Rashford as well for the upcoming doubles, just playing them. Again, I could take a hit to field someone else there, but there's not a massive need to. I'm all right with 9 players, and I think most of the main assets are covered there. Maybe a Arsenal defender. I could move Ake to an Arsenal defender there. But yeah, and hoping that Soufal is playing. as well, and not a minute's risk. And again, that Strout is okay. I'm assuming he'll be back by this week. This will be I think a month or two in a month or two's time. I'm hoping that he'll be back in a week's time. But yeah, it allows me to keep the Man City, Man United and Brighton assets for the upcoming doubles. So yeah, the triple up on Brighton I will be owning for basically the remainder of the season. And now the big one, double game week 34. Look at how glorious this team looks. 14 doublers I would have, and then Raya with the home fixture against Nottingham Forest. I could even do Raya to Leno for a -4 and make it 15 doublers. I could have an entire team that is doubling, which people in people who are using the bench boost in 29 probably won't be able to do, because Haaland isn't doubling, Saka isn't doubling, the players that we want to keep aren't doubling. So yeah, just on paper, this looks absolutely glorious. The only major asset I think I'm missing who would double in this game week is Fernandes. That's pretty much the only big one that I'd be missing. I'd move Saka to Foden or any of the Man City midfielders, whoever Pep's flavour of the month is, whether it's Mahrez, whether it's Grealish, whoever's getting the most game time, I would move for them. Hopefully the league isn't wrapped up by that point and they still have to absolutely go for it. And yeah, I think the doubles themselves are just far, far more appealing than the 29 doubles. As you can see there, the Brighton assets on the bench, really nice enablers, 2 home fixtures, 1 against Wolves as well, that's nice. Mitrovic's double is a bit rubbish. Away to Liverpool, home to Man City. So that's why Mitrovic will probably be Wilson or Isaac in reality. Because Newcastle have a home fixture against Southampton and they'll have a previous double. So I'll probably just hold on to him and not bother going for Mitrovic, and just -1 on the amount of doubles that I have. The 2 home fixtures as well for Liverpool would be really nice. Again, Man City's double looks absolutely excellent. I'd probably be captaining Haaland, the home fixture against West Ham and a away fixture against Fulham. I think that's probably the nicest double he would have had. Hopefully he starts both of those games. And then again, a really nice double for Man United. Home to Aston Villa and away to Brighton. And hang on, my phone's going off. So yeah, the doubles look incredibly good. West Ham's double again is a little bit tricky. Away to Man City, maybe not too much hope of a clean sheet there. And away to Crystal Palace, still nice on paper. So yeah, this is essentially what my plan is to make this absolutely insane looking double game week 34 bench boost. If everything goes according to plan and all the fixtures pan out that way. And then again, I think I haven't got a graphic for it, but for double game week 37, which might go ahead if teams progress in the FA Cup, I would have 9 doublers again, because I'd have the triple Man United, triple City, triple Arsenal. And if people are going to be free hitting in that week, they'll be getting in players that are really good for the double and then moving them straight back out again. So yeah, I'm hoping that I'm onto something with this. I could have completely missed something. Please get down in the comments if I'm completely far off on something that I've mentioned. But I just really like the look of this strategy. It's purely because I don't have a wild card and I can't tinker around my team to make it perfect for these next 3 or 4 game weeks. So this is the best I can do. Going heavy on 27, free hitting and just forgetting about 28. It's going to be a mess. So just free hit and completely forget about it. 29 not being quite as strong as other people's. Getting around 32 just about, and then going absolutely mental on 34. Yeah, that's the strategy. But just to end off the video, let's have a look at who did the best in the mini league for game week 25. So the highest score in the mini league for game week 25 was this guy's actually the leader in the league at the moment. Ayatunde Olusodo. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Tundex FC with 106 points. Absolutely insane. He used his free hit this week. I think I featured his team before, and I think I was worried about the amount of blanking players he had. So he decided to go absolutely ham on the doublers. And an insane score there. The captaincy on Salah, Saka as well for the Hall, Erdegaard and Zinchenko. Absolute gem of a differential there, getting 18 points. huge attacking threat, seems nailed on as the starting left back for Arsenal. I think Tierney's actually on his way out. Looks like an incredibly good asset to pick in our teams. I think he's probably my favourite one of the Arsenal defenders. He's not the most nailed, that'll go to Gabriel, but I think his attacking threat is just absolutely impeccable. Is so good to have in our teams. Obviously, Trent there as well, and Robertson. Bit of a shame that's not Van Dijk, isn't it? Would have been insane if it was, but yeah, we didn't really expect Robertson to be benched in that second fixture. It was a little harsh, and they kept a clean sheet as well, so that's got to sting a little bit. But absolutely insane score there of 106. Didn't go for Darwin as well, or Nketiah, so dodged the two people that were benched. Maybe he had some inside information, or maybe he just made an absolutely great call there. And it's always funny to look at the benches on a free hit. Look at that terrible bench, but he didn't need any of it at all. Tarkowski as well, getting 0 points. I mean, on paper, in hindsight, yeah, Tarkowski may have been a pretty rubbish pick, but 0 points is very harsh, isn't it? It's very, very harsh for a return. So yeah, an absolutely massive score there. 4 points as well from Iwobi. Nice enabler in the midfield. A brilliant score for you there, Ayatunde, and congratulations on being first in the mini league so far. So that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. A really long one. So if you've stuck around this long, thank you so much. Please, if you haven't already, like the video and subscribe if you have enjoyed. Yeah, just a huge overview of what I'm going to be doing in the future game weeks. Again, if you've already used your wildcard, you don't currently have it. I hope you found this useful. Please get down in the comments if you think I should make any adjustments, or if you've got any concerns about your own strategy. Again, a lot of the predicted fixtures I've used there are only suggested. Most of the games now that we've got, most of the doubles and blanks are pretty concrete because there's only so many permutations there can be now. It's going to be a double game week in either 34 or 37 or both, and then there might be another fixture added to some other game weeks. But yeah, that is basically what I'm going to be doing. Not going as hard in these doubles coming up, apart from 27. It's got, 4 doubles is pretty good for that one, but not going for the super good fixtures in 29 and then going all in on game week 34. I'd really be looking for that double if it does get announced. So yeah, I hope you have a really good game week 26. Hoping for green arrows for you all, and I'll see you in the next FPL video.